Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. My wife's insane behavior and how it changed us. Hello everyone, I never thought I'd get to this point, to the point of reaching out to strangers on the internet for advice, but here we are. My wife and I have been married for 8 years, but have been together for 10 years. We met in college and were each other's first and only love. Because of it, I honestly felt we had a one-of-a-kind and wonderful connection, but it turns out that was just me. My wife started working at a new firm a while back. At first, she struggled to fit in since she's always been quiet, but with my support, she became friends with a group of gals, some of whom were single, divorced, or dating but not married. I was delighted she made friends at first, but then she began going out for drinks, partying, or whatever her buddies had planned. I grew worried about her shift in behavior and attempted to speak to her about it, but I didn't want to limit her in any way since it was affecting our connection in the bedroom. My wife wasn't the type to initiate intimacy, but with her constant going out, she was either too exhausted or wasn't in the mood. At some time, her firm hired a new boss, whom my wife and her friends admired. She started mentioning him in passing, but it came to the point where she was pointing out how he handled specific difficulties that didn't appear to be business-related. I questioned her about her relationship with this guy, and she dismissed my worries. She even asked whether I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I replied that she was all I ever needed. I swear I saw a flicker of grief in her eyes for a split second, but she swiftly changed the topic. When she mentioned open marriages as a method to spice up our marriage, I was taken aback since my wife was never this sort of person and, to be honest, was not that liberal. I first rejected and questioned if this had anything to do with the new boss, to which she denied but said that she felt missed out, but didn't want to lose me. So this was a safer alternative. I cautioned her that she was playing with fire, and she consented grudgingly and naively. So we made certain restrictions, mostly not to sleep with another person in our house for a year, and my wife goes on dates, has one-night stands, and then, as if I didn't see it coming, is in some type of connection with that manager. I, on the other hand, had a few dates but no one-night stands since it seemed weird to me, and my wife would ask if I was okay but wouldn't modify her behavior. At some time, I realized that the love I had for her, the pure magical innocence of marriage, had faded, and it was hurting me on the inside. I ended myself out on a date with an incredible lady who had moved here from South Korea. Conversation was easy. She had the wit of a lightning-quick wipe joke and a smile that made one forget oneself. This, of course, led to additional dates until we were intimate. I honestly had never experienced like I had with this lady. I had no idea a woman could be so giving and make one feel so wanted. My wife thought it was charming at first, but as the months passed, she started to doubt my connection with my lover. I quickly pointed out that this was her idea and she, too, was in a relationship with the manager I was worried about. She was deafeningly quiet, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. She started coming home early to surprise me with supper and have the house extra clean, so she started dropping me lunch in my workplace and began to instigate intimacy in the bedroom. Honestly, if it hadn't been for her opening up our marriage, which I'm also default for consenting to, I would have been ecstatic. I seldom gave in to her advances, and when I did, it was just to get it over with. Something in me died for my wife, and I could tell she felt it as well. I asked what had caused this shift in her, what was different, and the answer I received was that she wanted to show me that she loves me and is content with me. I didn't want to, but I broke out laughing when I inquired about her little circle of pals, her manager's boyfriend, or her one night. She didn't answer that day, instead crying herself to sleep. I get home the following day to find her waiting for me. She informed me she wants to end the marriage, that the entire thing was a terrible mistake, that she regrets everything, and that she wants US to be the focus of our relationship once again. I told her to be honest with me and tell me what sparked all of this in the first place, and when you know it, it was her group of friends who planted the idea due to their numerous exploits, and when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live free. According to reports, it began as an emotional affair, but only became after the marriage was annulled. While like that makes it better. She compared it to being intoxicated behind the wheel of a speeding automobile. It was exhilarating and intoxicating, but the cost of her choice has grown too much for her to bear. She realizes now that she never needed a comparison, that what we had was genuinely unique and precious, but she still feels as if she killed our marriage and any prospect of a life together. I told her I may never be able to view her as my wife again, which caused her to cry in front of me. I just held her in silence as she wept till she fell asleep. My arms were resting on the sofa. She has now quit her job and cut contact with all of her friends and her boss, and she has even told me that she is prepared to spend the rest of her life making amends to me and working her fingers to the bone in order to be considered a wife by me, but I haven't stopped communication with my lover. My partner, quite honestly, makes me feel like a man, as if I can take on the world in a way that my wife hasn't in a long time. The truth is that I'm at a loss for what to do in this case. If at all possible, I would want to reclaim the unique sensation, but my boyfriend practically rescued me when I was at my lowest. Please assist me. I forgot to mention that we have our first marital therapy appointment in a few hours. I'm not sure how that will go. Update: I'm not sure how to connect my original post to this one, but here we go. The therapist looked to be kind and knowledgeable, as well as objective and willing to assist. Despite the fact that it was our first session, my wife seemed to take advantage of the chance to lay it all out. She said that this circle of friends made her question whether she had lost her opportunity since she was devoted to her first partner and had no other experiences, and that she had never had the same adventures as some of these supposedly amazing ladies. Remember that some of them are divorced, but none of them are married. Because of the difference in thinking, the therapist pointed out that this may infrequently is destructive to a marriage. My wife appeared to concur, then added that when the new manager approached her, several of her friends pushed her to see where it goes, that this was an opportunity for her to explore or find herself. She clearly felt bad, she claims, so she never did anything physical until one of the divorced proposed an open marriage as a loophole and informed her that some couples come out stronger as a result of it. So after reluctantly, according to her, persuaded me to open up the marriage, her experience started. It was heady and bright, but it lacked genuine substance, not the type we'd established over the years, and she began to doubt why she was doing this. She claimed she could see the pain in my eyes, but she convinced herself it was an adventure. She said she'll never forgive herself for this. An opportunity to have a wonderful experience, so the gravity of it all didn't hit her until she observed a difference in me. She imagined that when I went on dates, I would gradually accept her condition, but that all changed when my partner became a constant presence in my journey. Apparently, I began to grin again for no apparent reason, and my eyes would light up when I received a text message or gleefully exited the room to answer a phone call. She said she felt a pit in her stomach and began having little panic episodes for no apparent cause. She went back to her friends for advice, but they said it was a normal reaction for me to have during the adventure. But when the same divorced one who suggested it in the first place said it looks like his lover makes him happy, the reality of it all finally dawned on her, and the very real possibility that another woman, rather than his wife, gave him joy nearly made her pass out. She recognized how ludicrous everything was and asked them to help her win me back, but all they said was that if she couldn't cope with it, why did she start her marriage in the first place? She saw right away that these individuals were poisonous and a danger to our marriage and the life we'd established, so she's been on a mission to win us back by any means necessary. I, on the other hand, didn't say much, but I did tell the counselor about my problem with my boyfriend still in the picture. To which the counselor replied that no resolution could ever be found with my lover still in the picture, and that we schedule another meeting after tomorrow. The counselor did mention that it was uncommon for someone to remain with their first for this long, and she gave the idea that any storm could be weathered. I highly suspect she wants us to be one of her success stories.